Well, usually when making presentations, I usually tell about EB5 program. Just a few words I'd like to say about EB5 visa. You can see different stages of immigration timeline, EB5 goals and requirements, what you get.
I'm very glad to be today on the Bosco workshop.
Well, usually when making presentations, I usually tell about EB5 program as well as our current project. But I believe that the current economic situation and this has to do with the pandemic and so on. So you need to know what kind of questions you should ask. Um, I have described these questions quite clearly, and also provided information on how the EB5 program can potentially change and some other points. I've highlighted some other points as well. So let's start out on our presentation. My name is Vitaly Modlo. I direct Regional CMB Centers. I am based in Ohio, Illinois. And now we have 9:31 a.m. Good morning. Can you imagine? We are actually based in the opposite parts of the world. I'm in Singapore. It's great that our organizers give us the opportunity to talk about due diligence from different parts of the world. And all the speakers here, the panel speakers, is very high quality in terms of their solutions that they suggest. I'm very much satisfied. Yes, you're talking about the global coverage, global presence, and that audience members can join us from different parts of the globe. I started to work for CMB in 2014. I immigrated to the US from Ukraine on green card in 2013. The contact person that helped hundreds of families through EB5 visa process. And back when I started my activity, they asked me for help. Now they have already finished their investment period has finished. They got their returns, and they were granted green cards. So some of them are still in the process of waiting, as the process can last for 5 to 7 years. But that is very individual, depending on the on the on this on the speed of your petition consideration process. You can always send me an email or call me up. You can see my contacts here, contact information. I always am available. I know that many potential investors over the weekend are going to study some of their documents, and I always adapt to my clients. Just a few words I'd like to say about EB5 visa. It's a minimum. EB5 is an immigration program to obtain U.S. permanent residency through investment. The minimum investment price is 900,000 USD as of November 21 of 2019. There is another investment price, which is 1.7 million USD, but realistically, such petitions are very few in number. The visa allocation is 10,000 green cards per year. Once you get the green card, it's your lifelong visa. It's a permanent solution. No need to extend. Apply for U.S. citizenship after 5 years. Live and work anywhere in the U.S. Open your business in the U.S. Lower tuition fees if you have children that you pay your tuition uh, fees for. Do I understand it correctly that the minimum investment price is the amount of money which is then which is returned afterwards? Yes, it's returned, but it's investment at risk. The government of the United States doesn't want you to come and buy the green card. So I'm going to revisit this particular point a little later. Here on this slide, you can see the different stages of immigration timeline. We have stage 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Stage 1's intention to immigrate. Well, altogether, these are the steps one has to undertake to immigrate. First, they have to pay attention to they have to intend to immigrate. Then they do due diligence, retain an attorney, choose an EB5 project, invest 900,000 plus 70,000 fee. Then you wait for 2-3 years. Then stage 3 is adjustment of status or a consular interview, 6 to 12 months. Then you get conditional green card, 24 months. Then you wait for 2 to 3 years again. You get the permanent green card, and that's the end of your immigration process, and you are a success. EB5 goals and requirements. What you get. Most importantly, it is green card for you and your family members. And the second goal is to get the return of your investment. Many people are asking about the annual interest rate, and they are they're the lowest ones. The smallest rate of return income is not a priority in EB5. On the right-hand side, how you get it? Through at-risk investment. Here comes your due diligence. You need to do it on your own. You need to study your project and documentation. Of course, you can hire lawyers and advisors, but this is to be your own decision. You are investing the money of your own. So remember, the higher rate of return is offered to you, the more risk for your money is there. So don't make your at-risk investment risky. Also need to come up with 10 full-time American jobs. CMB is actually doing this, creating jobs through capital investment during construction. The following few slides are dedicated to the practical questions you need to be aware of. First and foremost, you need to know who's who in EB5. There are investors, there are immigration, there are regional centers, immigration attorneys. Both immigration attorneys and regional centers are two indispensable entities you have to work with. You should know that immigration attorneys should represent your interests. So if you are faced with a situation whereby some regional center is offering their own immigration attorney to you, this can bring about a conflict of interest. This could be both the public or private company. CMB is a family business. It's a private company that was founded back in 1997. We've been on the market for over 21 years. We have a lot of regional centers licensed by the Immigration Service of the United States. As of January 7, 2021, we have had 673 approved regional centers. Most of the regional centers are inactive or have one EB5 project. There are different developers, and you need to consider what are the relations between the developers and regional centers. There are developers that come up with their own regional centers, and last but not least, there are consultants and due diligence companies that work with regional centers on a fee basis. And if you are US, if you cooperate with US based consultants, they must have a securities broker dealer license to do EB5. Otherwise, they are not eligible to operate in the US. You should you should not change your immigration attorney, because that will ensure your success. You need to ask questions to your attorney as to how many petitions he filed or she filed, any SOF based denials. Some attorneys say that they have 100% success rate. That is the red flag. An attorney cannot be responsible for the immigration service. Knowing the kind of petitions and documents should be submitted and how they are approved, the attorney should know whether or not the source of funds will be successful. What is the trick here when the regional centers are offering their own immigration attorneys? Because the trick is that the immigration attorney will represent the regional center. So attorney cannot give a 100% guarantee of your petition success in terms of SOF. The likelihood of success is based on previous successful experience and rule of precedent. Make sure your SOF is approvable before moving to next steps, selecting an EB5 project. Ask your questions. The more questions you ask, the more complex they are, the better it is for you, because you will have a deeper understanding. And always ask the regional centers about their track record.
Как оперирует, как действует.
There's a list of questions you can ask about their track record, how many approvals have they got, denials, for what reasons, how many partnerships returned capital to investors, how many and which partnerships. Regional center operations related questions are also to be asked. So the level of responsibility, of course, is higher if there is a small regional center that is outsourcing all of these things that we're talking about. The transparency of a regional center should be a 100% one. You should ask the regional center about the questions about what it is that they can that they can use to prove their statistics with regards to the full refund, return of investment. Regional centers can offer they can offer equity typically promises high rate of return. Has a similar promise been delivered in the past? It's very easy to invest, but how easy it is to be how easy will it be to exit? You should always ask this question. And most importantly, the key question is how is the regional center's interest aligned with your interests? Some regional centers are established by the developers, and you run into the conflict of interest in this particular case if anything should go with the developer. Will the developer sue itself? How can you find a good EB5 project in case in under the COVID-19 situation, there are lots of mm, how has COVID-19 affected this sector of economy? We know that the hospitality sector has suffered a lot. We need to know who is the developer and how has COVID-19 affected the project. Uh, has the developer done any B5 projects? What were the results? Which regional centers were the past successful projects with? Is the capital stake in place? What did the regional center face to fully subscribe their project? What is the borrower's strategy to repay the EB5 funds? How long has the project been on the market? How many investors have funded? So these are the questions you should clearly know and necessarily ask when coming in contact with regional centers. And once again, consultants and due diligence companies, if you would like to economize on your time, save your time, and if you would like to know what kind of consultants and due diligence companies are present on the market, if you work with a consultant or immigration consultants, it may save your time to see what's available on the market. Well, if you work with a company, make sure your consultant takes care about your interest and works with best regional centers. We have seen consultants sending their clients to whoever pays them the most, and clients ending up in failed projects. If you work with a due diligence company, remember a truly unbiased due diligence company should charge you for doing due diligence on the offering documents, not regional centers who are promoting their projects. Some due diligence companies may be the broker dealers who receive commission fees from regional centers. There are two rules of the thumb. Best ways to do your own due diligence and trust, but check you must. We have implemented over 70 projects, over 5.7 thousand investors from 100 countries. At the moment, over 1.6 investors have got the return of their capital. We got 1.5 over 1.5 thousand 829 approvals and over 4.9 thousand 526 approvals. The difference is that between these two events, 4 to 5 years can pass. Excuse me for interrupting you. There's a question. It's 2 to 3 years. If you file 829 today, I think you can expect your petition to be approved in 2023. And that's a good question, by the way, because just like 526, 829 takes a long time to consider. And that unfortunately does not increase the attractiveness of EB5 program. I think the priority of immigration service when on EB5 program should be to reduce, to curtail the term of expectations, so to say. Yes, as I said, we carry out audits, and we can provide the outcomes of those audits for all those who are interested. Now we mm, uh, have the results relating to people that have filed their petitions in late uh, 2015 or early 2016. We have 16 regional centers. We operate in 22 states. The most of our projects are located in California, Texas, Eastern Coast. We have another current project implemented in Michigan right now. I was going to tell you about it right now. Thank you very much.
Вот это тоже полезный
This is also a useful slide. This is a structure of any of our partnerships. The investors that are joining us to invest in the current partnerships. We have the general partner, which is CMB, the managing sharing, representing the interests of investors. This partnership is established with partners, and the developer is assuming the obligation to return the EB5 related investment within 5 to 6 years' time. When the money is returned to the partnership, the investors are
50 голосов инвесторов.
For leaving the partnership, at least 5% usually are voting to leave the partnership and receiving their money back. They vote for capital return. Have you had such cases before? We have 2 projects. As an exception, we have protracted the credit line. These were large projects in the solar electrical power stations. Since this is a new technological area and our projects were quite large, we are undergoing the stage of negotiations right now, trying to find new buyer to return the full amount of money. As far as I know, the regional centers, there are no regional centers that were not impacted by COVID-19. We have the hospitality projects with no annual returns in 2020. There are no regional centers with a perfect track record following the year 2020. Of 70 projects, if we can find 2, 3, 4 projects, or 2, 3 problematic projects, we should understand that this is real life. We don't have the crystal ball. We cannot look into the future. Nobody knew that COVID-19 was going to happen and that it will impact so strongly the hospitality sector. We offer logistics, which is feeling very well under the COVID-19 circumstances. It's this logistical center is situated in Detroit, on the crossroads of airline routes and motor route. We work with Hillwood Commerce Business Park. We have implemented 30 projects with Hillwood Commerce Business. Hillwood is our partner. So this is the logistics center that is under construction since Q4 2020, and it should be completed in late 2021. The construction period is just 1 year. It's quite a simple project from the standpoint of what it is for and why is it constructed. It's constructed to be leased out to a large company that will store here commodities imported from other countries and distribute them amongst the final consumers. So we're talking about the commodity trading companies that have felt very well in the past 10 years. And the retail stores, they actually switched from offline trade to online mode of trade. This is the statistics of Hillwood. This is the Hillwood footprint. It was established back in 1988. It belonged to Mr. Rospero. He was the presidential candidate in the United States in the past. His son established a network of such assets. We have 31 total CMB partnerships, and you can see here who it is that Hillwood is cooperating with. It's Amazon, General Electric, and other large companies. 14 of 31 partnerships. Well, Hillwood has already returned the funds of 14 to 14 of 31 partners. They have no problem with completing their projects on time and returning their money on time. They work like Swiss watch. They have several billion USD turnover per year, so they cooperate with us as well. This strategic asset in Michigan, it's cooperating with Amazon. Well, it actually concluded an agreement with Amazon. The proceeds from the rental proceeds are going to be used to pay off the EB5 debt. This is the Metro Detroit industrial market in Michigan. It's 2018 Census Metro population report of more than 4.3 million. It has enough revenues to return 900,000 USD to investors. Here is what you can see with a good EB5 project. You should see that the project was allocated the bank loan, a good senior bank loan, and we also are doing our own due diligence of a project as to whether or not the project is suitable for investors and their goals. The question has to do with the risks of EB5 program. There are two types of risks. In the immigration risk, your petition can be declined or it can be approved. There is an investment risk. You can fail to get your money back, and you should clearly understand what it is that the project is all about and how the funds are going to be accumulated to repay your investment. Under this project, for example, we have the financial information spread, whereby we tell people how much will the developer pay off during 2021. with regards to EB5 investors, we clearly point out that the rental proceeds, rental revenues are going to be good enough to reimburse both loans. As for the immigration risks, you should understand that the petition 526, the I-526 petition is split into two parts. Number one, the source of your funds that you're working with. This is your responsibility. This part, the approval of this part is your responsibility. And the business plan which you submit to the regional center after you made your investment, our approval statistics is 100%. We have never had any denials, any refusals. So you should understand, if your attorney says that he has the source, the origin of your funds and all the documents, and if he says that he thinks you will get the approval, you should be content with that. After going through the consular stage, there is a small risk that you will not be allocated the visa, issued the visa, and that might only happen if you have had some criminal track record or some serious sickness, which is what you should think about in advance. If you take counsel with your lawyer, or you should tell your lawyer about any dark areas in your track record and ask whether or not you have good chances. The last point has to do with the establishment of jobs. Your second petition only consists of business plan. These are the major stages when you can get the approval or be declined. And you should make sure you're successful during these stages. So basically, I told you everything about the project. I will only add that the entire funding on this project is available. The project is completely funded. All required equity has been fully committed because Haywood has provided the entire necessary equity. The equity required to complete the project has been fully committed in anticipation of future EB5 funding being made available to the project. As EB5 funds are raised and made available to the project, overfunded equity is replaced. This is all I wanted to tell you. Thank you for having digested, assimilated this huge amount of information. Hopefully it will be beneficial, useful for people interested in EB5 program.